Today I want to explain to you how a simple mousetrap car works using a project that someone left behind last year. You will be using fishing line, but I replaced the line with a bright green string so that it can be more easily seen in the video. A basic mousetrap would swing from about here to here, causing only a small amount of pull on the string. I've modified our mousetraps so that there's a much longer swinging arm. It would pull back over the opposite axle and have this range of motion, causing a much larger amount of string to be pulled. The string is attached to the end of that arm and then also to the opposite axle. I prefer to have a hole drilled through the opposite axle so that you can put the string or fishing line through, and it makes it easier to then wind up. It's easier to get started that way. This can also be a little easier if you have a second person to hold the base and another person to wind up, which is nice since we're working in teams. So as I continue to wind this up, you'll notice that the arm on the mousetrap is getting pulled back. There's more and more tension. And I probably could have used a little less string here, so bear with me. All right, my wheel is kind of spinning here. There's a lot of tension. So, oop, there goes the wheel. Again, this is someone's project from last year. It could use a little fixing. But you could keep winding it up. And then once it's fully wound, it works by releasing. So as I release this arm, it's going to, if it doesn't get tangled up, that's why the fishing wire works a little better. Okay, so that string is pulling on the axle, like so. If you have that hole, then it could get pulled out when it reaches the end and then continue gliding across the floor. If you permanently attach the string to the axle, and if your string is kind of on the short side, then you could find that your car moves all the way to the end of the unraveling point, but then continue to move and either stop suddenly or begin moving backwards. One more thing to note, you want the arm on your mousetrap to be pointing away from the opposite axle that you are attaching it to. You do not want to have it super close. If I remove this, let's see, it doesn't want to remove. There's a piece of tape there. But if this was placed closer, then the only real amount of pulling would be from about where that axle is placed to here. So the arc would be a lot shorter compared to being all the way back here. It's getting a lot more pull. Ideally, this would be a little farther back as well. They made theirs a little short. One more thing to note is that as this axle is spinning, if you have a larger wheel base, then you will cover more ground in one rotation. So one rotation of the axle is going to move you one full circumference of what your wheel size is.